Gets out of the way, the red lights will go out and off they go. Greville Bull getting a bit airborne there. That'll slow his start, but on board with AJ into Gerrards for the first time in this second race of the meeting for the Triumph Triple Challenge. Down into that first chicane, and this is, oh goodness me, straight across the front of the nose of AJ Hutchinson, and that it looked like it was a couple of challenge runners. That was Richie Welsh, and I think Richie Welsh contact between himself and Adam Kemp there in that chicane. Well, they both went flying, and that would have stretched them at the back of the field. And there we see Greville Bull absolutely last there, and red flags out. Red flags out, so there will be a pause while they go and send assistance to those riders and clear the machinery down there at Charlie's. And there we see, well, it starts just out of shot, but it looks as though there was contact between Adam Kemp and Richie Welsh. Richie Welsh very much a passenger, he wouldn't know much about that, and off they go. At the restart, they're all there except Richie Welsh. He's unfortunately not been able to take part in the race, but from the start, Steve Smith gets the head down into the lead, and James Wainwright running right up there with him. There in the middle of the pack of the light leathers, we see AJ Hutchinson. Now we're on board once again. Again, a little bit of argy-bargy in the middle of that first chicane, but they get themselves sorted out. And we're chasing hard after Ricky Chadwick, the leader of the challenge runners, as we duck down into Edwina's, and there underneath us goes Adam Kemp. Adam nicking just up ahead of AJ, and AJ carrying us with him as we exit Edwina's, go through the John Cooper S's and up the hill, and we've done Mr. Kemp on the inside, going into Shaw's hairpin. There we see Jack Sim just ahead of Ricky Chadwick, and through this real old flip-flop, a left and a right and a left out of that bus stop chicane, and down through the Devil's Elbow onto the start-finish straight here at Mallory Park. James Wainwright then leading from Steve Smith and James Dye. There's Rob Guinan, Michael Booth up ahead of Jack Sim. That's the top six, straight into Edwina's. And there we see Steve Smith really leaning on it, trying to get back up with James Wainwright and Rob Guinan there in fourth place. But it is Wainwright still that leads out of the John Cooper S's. There's Michael Booth on the back of that group, and look at Steve Smith. He's coming for it. He thought he saw a gap, but the gap was well and truly shrunk by the time he got to it. And it is still James Wainwright that leads. There, Rob Guinan in fourth place. And he got dropped a little from that leading bunch, didn't he, in the earlier race? Hopefully, whatever the problem was, and I'm sure it wasn't him, I'm sure it was something to do with the bike, but he seems to have got that cured, and he's up there on the pace of the leaders at the moment, and running wide there, Steve Smith, and James Dye is going to stick it up the inside. He looks as though he had the legs of him, but on the turning into that chicane, Steve Smith reclaiming that second place. That's a little bit of action there has allowed James Wainwright a little bit of comfort at the front. Tiny bit of a gap opened up. Wainwright, Smith, Dye, Guinan and Michael Booth, that leading five, getting away a little, going up through that John Cooper S's, and then the climb up to Shaw's, the hairpin. Who's going to do what with which and to whom? And you can see that time James Dye made a better fist of the acute hairpin down through the bus stop, and it has meant he's closed right up with Smith. Now Guinan and Booth, and Michael Booth lapping at this stage slightly quicker than Rob Guinan. James Wainwright, Steve Smith and James Dye ahead of that battle for fourth. Into that first chicane they go. Remember, this is the first time, of course, the Triumphs will have raced at Mallory Park, so a lap record was set in the earlier race, but the lap record, I think, is going to be punished in this. The pace a lot hotter. Wainwright, Smith and Dye, Guinan and Booth. And looking further back behind them, there we see Jack Sim and Ricky Chadwick being followed by Adam Kemp. Meanwhile, up the front as they run up towards the hairpin and snaking under braking there, Steve Smith goes through into the lead, but he runs wide and James Wainwright has him back. We saw that in the Super Teens. It's happening now in the Triumphs. And James Dye closing up in third place, championship leader. James Dye in exactly the right place. He's there to pick up the pieces should anything go wrong ahead of him, but he's going to score good championship points again as long as he stays on board. But James is a hard old racer. He will not want to finish third. If he can win it, he will. And he closes down on Steve Smith and James Wainwright ahead of him once again. So the three leaders up and out of Stapleton's and down the Stebby Straight once again towards Edwina's. And look at it, James Dye really putting pressure on Steve Smith for second place. Into Edwina's they go, and James Dye chucks it up the inside, and he's through, and he's held it. And Steve Smith down to third, James Dye up to second. James Dye head down now, chasing after James Wainwright, but James knocking in really quick laps at the moment there on board with AJ Hutchinson. We've just been passed by a newcomer to the series, number 77, Gary Thwaites. Gary, a regular racer here at Mallory Park, the first time on board the Triumph. Here we go up the hill into Shaw's hairpin. Is AJ going to have a bit of a dive? No, he's not. There's AJ. Green wheel at the front, orange wheel at the back. I believe I called that a red wheel at one stage, but I was mistaken for the colour of AJ's dad's eyes in the morning. There we see AJ chasing hard after Gary Thwaites down through Devil's Elbow to the start-finish line, and here the leader, James Wainwright into Edwina's. James Dye in second. James Wainwright has got the advantage at the moment. He's also got the fastest lap of the race, indeed fastest lap of the weekend, a 61.123 in terms of the Triumphs, and that will stand as a new lap record unless he goes quicker still in this race. James Wainwright then down towards the bus stop. James Dye, championship leader, trying to close the gap between them and pulling away slightly from Steve Smith. Another lap completed, and James Wainwright there just barely a glance at the pit board. He knows where everyone is, and more to the point, he knows where he is up the sharp end. James Wainwright will be thoroughly enjoying this. Had a very good weekend here at Mallory Park, and he's going to top it off with a win if he could just stay on board and stay ahead of James Dye. Down the Stebby Straight then once again, and look at the gap that's opened up back to third. Steve Smith really being dropped by the two leaders. Behind Steve, that'll give encouragement to Rob Guinan. Rob seems to be a little bit more back on the pace towards the latter stages of this race. But at front, all about the two Jameses, James Wainwright and James Dye. About a quarter of a lap to go through the bus stop, down the hill towards the Devil's Elbow, into it and out, and this will be a win for James Wainwright from James Dye. Meanwhile, AJ Hutchinson tries to stick it up the inside of Gary Thwaites, and bike almost grinds to a halt there. Is he going to hold it? He does, and he's ahead of Gary around through the bus stop. It's going to be a charge for the camera bike to the start-finish line. Gary Thwaites will be right alongside us and over the line of the checkered flag, and AJ picks up ninth place just ahead of Gary Thwaites. But there we see 1 and 2. James Wainwright taking the win from James Dye. Steve Smith in third ahead of Rob Guinan, Michael Booth and Jack Sim. Getting his trophy there from Les Williams is the winner, James Wainwright. Yes, he's pleased with that. Yes, thank you very much.
I'm pleased with the weekend. I got a third and a second, and it's helping with the championship. It's kept me in front, just trying to be consistent at the moment and keep in front. And I'd like to thank my sponsor, Destination Triumph, and Wilkie's Property Development.
Won the qualifying race yesterday in race 1, which I'm happy about, and came to race 2 today, and we, you know, I made a move on James, and it put me back a little bit. It was a bit of a harsh move, really. I ran a bit wide, and he got me back, and I lost a little bit of toe, and Jimmy come by me. But you know, I decided to settle for third because I got full points up until that race, and I didn't want to throw it away after that, really. So I'm happy with this weekend.
I'm feeling very happy. I think I deserved it. I hope I deserved it anyway. But in race 1, I made a bit of a mistake, got a bit too eager, went straight on. Race 2, come home with it, and I am pleased. I'm happy.
There we see our challenge winner, being ably congratulated there by Adam Kemp and Gary Thwaites.